On every family we have the little brother, the big sister, and the one that falls in between, and that's what we have behind me. Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. This week we test out the 2015 Audi Q5, falling a little bit bigger than our recent stint behind the Audi Q3. Now when you look at the profile of the Q5, a lot of family lines, of course, to that of the Q3, and that's to be expected. Now the real difference between the Q3 and the Q5 has to be on paper when it comes down to this one being just a little bit bigger. Otherwise, you're getting similar Q3, Q5 profile, great sedan-like ride with that kind of crossover sport utility vehicle-like combination. So let's look at the numbers and see where it all irons out. By the numbers, the Q5 comes in a little bit bigger, wider than all those numbers combined. Now by the height, it's about 2 inches taller, about 3 inches wider. It has a stretch wheelbase by about 8 inches, measuring around about 111 inches, with an overall stretch of about 182, just under a foot longer than that of the Q3. Now where do all those numbers translate to is really on the interior, which we'll get into in a minute, specifically that back legroom. Now overall, when you look at the design, it's exactly what you expect from an Audi. Sleek lines, a little bit of chrome accents, and pretty much body color all the way around, delivering a great premium model. Now this vehicle didn't hit any slick spots because the weather forecast was nice and clear, but it does come standard with the Quattro system, giving you grip at the four corners. Now as for the tires, it comes in either 18, 19, or 20-inch wheels with this particular model, featuring the 19-inch version. Now as for the tires, this one came with Performance 235/55. Now last but not least is ground clearance, because after all, when you do hit the muck known as snow, you need to have decent ground clearance. This one falling just under 8 inches. One of the biggest features on any vehicle has to be the key system, and really it comes down to the smart key version. Now what that basically means is you go up to any door and it's going to open right up, and a lot of vehicles are making this cumbersome, making it way too difficult. What this vehicle does is allow you to customize it right there on the inside of the vehicle, pretty much meaning you can either set it for all the doors to unlock or just the drivers. Walk right up to it, pull the handle, and it opens right up. Now to lock it, there's a nice hidden kind of niche here. Press it one time, locks right up. The Q5 is definitely bigger on paper and really in person as well. One of the biggest features has to be the cargo area. Now before I dive inside, that smart key system really comes together here at the back end, pretty much meaning you can either pop the hatch with your button or come right up, press the handle, and it's going to rise to the occasion with this power hatch. Now once it opens up, what you're going to see is a huge amount of space, around about 29 cubic feet. Now that compared to the Q3, which is around about 16, and average for that size vehicle. Now for this one, that means you can throw about anything you want to in this really nice carpeted area, and along with the 5 people inside. As you can tell, it comes with a built-in tonneau cover that kind of rises as the rear hatch goes up and really makes a nice secure area, kind of everything out of sight, out of mind. Now that of course can be removed should you have tall items that need to go inside. Now another nice feature is really transforming this rear cargo area into a lot bigger space, and you do it right here with this handle. Now what that does is you pull the handle and those rear seats are going to tumble forward, and it is a nice split, kind of an 80-20, 70-30 split, meaning you can put some cargo on one side and people on the other. Now before we move on to the rest of the vehicle, one thing we need to think about at the back is backup safety. Now of course this is power, so it's going to get out of the way, and one thing to think about is in the fog conditions. Now this vehicle does have front fog lights but also rear ones. Now what is rear fog lights? Basically makes the rear tail lights a little bit brighter for those kind of hard to see situations. Now last but not least is the backup sensors, really ultrasonic, really making you aware of anything around you, and of course it has the backup camera. Now the driver's position is maybe the most important part of any vehicle, but the second row here may be just the same. Now what I noticed is the ability again to transform this into cargo, and one thing I need to mention is the ability to transform this area right here by simply pressing this button and tumbling this forward. Now what's great about that with this Quattro model, really taking those skis, putting them right up the middle and hitting the slopes. Now putting that back, what you're going to notice is you can make this seating real comfortable with the handle here. Now what that allows you to do is press these back just a hair more for a little bit more reclinability and a little bit more comfort for those long drives. Last but not least, that same handle makes it transform into cargo, leaving the headrest in place and making it one huge area. Now once you climb inside, another big number you got to think about is leg room. Now in the Q3, it's going to be around about 31 inches, or what I refer to as knee bleeding kind of numbers, because after all, that's going to be kind of tight. Now on this one, with that extra wheelbase, with the extra overall length, that number increases to around about 37 inches above average for back seat comfort. Now, when you look at the comfort, again, this seating position is all the way back, and I found these nice niches in the seat backs really allow my knee to breathe quite well. Now, last but not least is the comfort for your backseat passengers, and that's done quite well with these vent systems. Now, it does have the kind of vent speed, turn it off, turn it on, and actual heating and cooling with a nice dial select here in the center console. Once you stop marveling at the rest of the vehicle and finally make it up here to the captain chair, maybe this is the biggest reward. Now, by the legroom nose up here, it's maybe a slight increase compared to the Q3, averaging around about 41 inches of legroom. Now, overall, this is a premium vehicle, and to be expected for the Audi, really starting at the leather, really enveloping and really comfortable. Now, what's really great about this is the heated and cooled seats with the press of a button, both for the front passenger and driver. Now, one of the biggest learning curves on this vehicle maybe is right here with the center control system. Now, this is a big knob that's going to handle everything on the dash, and maybe takes more getting used to because you don't have to reach for the dash, but reach right here between the front seats. Now, it houses everything with ease with a few buttons, but everything pretty much handled with a few quadrant buttons and the center knob. Now, as you look up at the dash, what you're going to notice is basically the function you're currently on. Right now, I'm on radio, and you have the nice dialing select mode that really allows you to scroll through all the channels. Now, if you switch that to the other systems, that could be media, to the menu, this is where it takes a little bit of getting used to. But the best part about this, once you understand it, is pretty much the capabilities of setting anything you possibly want and really navigating with ease with no reach to the dash, but more or less a touch of a button. The screen on the Q5 is a little different than the Q3, with that model having a pop-up version, with this one being a little more integrated into the dash. Now, as you sweep down, you're going to find the CD player and this little button that says open. That's going to give you access to 2 SD readers and a SIM card. Now, below that is your dual climate controls like we have here, and really a dial-in function to your specific temperature setting. Now, what's interesting is there's no fan speed that you can easily get to. Instead, you press this button here. That's going to give you a setting that's going to kind of dial in your specific speed. Now, interestingly enough, it gives you 2 numbers, but I yet to figure out how to actually get the passenger's fan speed to be less. Now, the passenger's temperature is different, and it can be dialed in specific, but as for fan speed, they seem to be both set the same all the time. One function I wish integrated better with the screen was the climate control system. Now, of course, this system will integrate up here as you change the controls and set them, but they kind of go away when you're not using them. Now, they help simplify things in the long run, but in some cases, when I'm setting the mode function, it just is hard to really kind of designate what's going on because the items are only up there for about a millisecond, then they go away. Now, as for fan speed, once again, there's dual fan speed in my mind, both of them being able to go up and down. But again, I just could not figure out how to really set the passenger's fan speed different than the driver. On the dash, you're going to find the typical gauge cluster, maybe a little bit of throwback Thursday here with the huge tachometer on the left and the speedometer on the right. Now, one thing I really wish that we had was the digital readout for the speed there front and center. Now, what it did is give you a lot of up-to-date information on fuel economy, but I'm a real digital reader when it comes to speed, and if they had set it right there as an option, allow you to kind of get that instant gratification of knowing exactly what your speed was versus the analog option. Now, once you sweep around, you're going to look at the controls on the steering, and they're fairly simple, with a nice mode select for your stereo over here and your volume control with a nice toggle up and down. Now, as for cruise control, it's not where you typically find it. It's more on a lever to the left, but that's straight Audi and easy to use once you get used to it. Now, I didn't find any blind spots on the Q5 with plenty of glass all the way around and really the ease of seeing everything. Now, one area that has the best panoramic view has to be up above, and the huge amount of glass. Now, it's hidden by this screen that really goes from front to back, letting a lot of light in once you move out of the way. Now, of course, you want to turn this vehicle into more of a convertible-like feel. Simply dial in the amount of air you want to let in, and the glass is going to move out of the way. One of the biggest shocks I found had to be what was sitting under the hood, because it took me 2 or 3 days before I even realized this was a diesel engine. Now, the main reason for that is there was no big rumble nor any black smoke pouring out the rear end, so it just didn't fit the bill and was really quiet and unexpected. Now, this is a V6 diesel engine, delivers around about 240 horses, but the biggest number had to be the torque at around about 428 foot-pounds. Now, what that all equates to is great numbers off the line, around about 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Now, the other big number has to be fuel economy. averaging somewhere between 24 to 31 miles per gallon, beating all the other power plants in the family line by about 5 miles per gallon. That does for this edition of Road Warrior and our test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Audi Q5, the bigger sibling to that of the Q3. Now the biggest difference between the two again is the overall length, and of course those back seat legroom numbers coming in a lot better. Now one of the biggest features of course we liked on this model had to be that diesel engine sitting under the hood, and we were surprised because again it's a quiet offering and great fuel economy. Now as always, like, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.